This is the extraordinary story of how one man saved Diego Maradona's club from the brink at an auction. It's a story of success, failure, of never giving up and ascending once more. A tale of divine football, crushing heartbreak, and ultimate redemption that spans 4 decades. This is the story of Napoli, where miracles happen, legends are born, and sometimes the impossible becomes inevitable. A club that proves football isn't just a game, it's life itself. In 1984, Napoli had paid a world record transfer fee of £5 million to Barcelona, shattering all previous records for the second time in Maradona's career. But this wasn't just about money. This was about hope. Naples, the proud but economically struggling heart of southern Italy, had been mocked by the wealthy north for generations. Their football team had never won Serie A. They were the eternal underdogs. Maradona's tenure in Naples lasted from 1984 to 1991. Bringing the Partenope an unprecedented level of success. The city that had been ignored and forgotten was now the center of the football universe. Maradona murals appeared on every street corner. Children were named Diego, grown men left in tears from what they had witnessed. But then came the darkness. In March 1991, Maradona tested positive for cocaine and was banned for 15 months. But the problems went deeper than drugs. His connections to organized crime, his increasingly erratic behavior, and his battles with addiction had caught up with him. The King of Naples fell from grace. And though he remained technically contracted to Napoli during his suspension, his playing career with the club was effectively over. Without their talisman, the magic evaporated overnight. The team that had conquered Europe suddenly looked ordinary. Worse than ordinary, they looked lost. Star players like Zola and Careca departed. Replacements failed. The financial situation, masked during the Maradona years by success and revenue, began to crumble. The 1990s became a blur of mediocrity, punctuated by moments of genuine terror. Relegation battles became annual affairs. Coaches arrived with grand promises and left with shattered reputations. By the early 2000s, Napoli were in Serie B, fighting not for glory but for survival. The club that had once employed the greatest footballer who ever lived was now struggling to pay basic salaries. Then came 2004, the year everything ended. The debts had grown insurmountable. Years of mismanagement, failed transfers, and declining revenues had created a financial black hole that no amount of goodwill could fill. By August 2004, Napoli was declared bankrupt. The club had great debts, and its whole existence was in danger. Everything was to be sold. The stadium naming rights, the training ground, the youth academy, even the sacred blue jerseys. The name Napoli itself was at risk of disappearing forever. A courtroom in Naples where everything Napoli had ever been was about to be auctioned to the highest bidder. Among the small crowd of lawyers, creditors, and curious onlookers sat a man most people didn't recognize, Aurelio De Laurentiis, a successful film producer from Rome. He won the auction to buy the Naples football team directly from a bankruptcy sale at the Naples court. But who was this Roman savior? De Laurentiis had made his fortune in cinema, producing over 150 films, including works with legendary directors. The challenges were immense. Film producer Aurelio De Laurentiis refounded Napoli under the name Napoli Soccer, and were placed in the 2004 to 2005 season in Serie C1, the third tier of Italian football. For a club that had once employed Diego Maradona, this was rock bottom. The early games in Serie C were surreal. Napoli, playing in stadiums that held a few thousand spectators, faced teams of part-time professionals. Yet tens of thousands of Neapolitan fans traveled to these remote venues, singing the old songs, wearing the sacred blue, keeping faith alive. The first season in Serie C1 was about survival and adaptation. Veterans like Fabio Cannavaro's brother, Paolo, joined the cause, bringing credibility and experience. The promotion from Serie C1 to Serie B in 2005 felt like winning the World Cup. Serie B brought new challenges. The competition was fiercer, the travel more demanding, and the expectations higher. 2007 brought the moment everyone had dreamed of: promotion back to Serie A. The celebrations were extraordinary, but they were different from the spontaneous explosions of the Maradona era. These were tears of relief, of validation, of dreams finally being rewarded after years of suffering. The first season back in Serie A was about consolidation, staying up, rebuilding relationships with elite opponents, and proving that this resurrection was permanent, not temporary. The first masterstroke came in 2007 with the signing of Marek Hamsik from Brescia. The young Slovakian midfielder wasn't a household name, but scouts had identified something special: vision, technique, and the kind of leadership personality that could carry a team's hopes and dreams. Under Walter Mazzari's guidance, this new Napoli began to take shape. The team played with intensity and passion that reminded older fans of the Maradona era, but with modern tactical sophistication. They weren't just emotional, they were effective, but De Laurentiis' masterstroke was yet to come. In 2013, he made a decision that would transform Napoli from hopeful contenders into genuine title challengers. He hired Maurizio Sarri as head coach. Sarri wasn't a fashionable choice. He had coached in the lower leagues, was unknown internationally, and had an unusual background for a top-level manager. But he possessed something invaluable: a revolutionary tactical vision that perfectly matched Napoli's identity and ambitions. The signings during the Sarri era were masterful. Gonzalo Higuain arrived from Real Madrid, bringing world-class finishing ability and Champions League experience. José Callejon added pace and creativity on the wings. Kalidou Koulibaly developed into one of Europe's finest centre-backs. Lorenzo Insigne, a local boy, became the creative heartbeat of the team. Despite the breathtaking football, and with Napoli firmly being back on the football map, Sarri would depart Naples unable to complete the fairy tale, securing the first Scudetto since the days of Diego Maradona almost 3 decades ago. Luciano Spalletti had arrived as the new coach, bringing tactical acumen and a deep understanding of Italian football, but few could have predicted what was about to unfold: a season that would end 33 years of heartbreak and restore Napoli to the summit of Italian football. The revolution began with 2 signings that would change everything. Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, a young Georgian winger whose dribbling and pace reminded fans of classic Napoli magic, and Victor Osimhen, a Nigerian striker whose speed, power and clinical finishing provided the perfect focal point for Spalletti's attacking system. Osimhen complemented Kvaratskhelia perfectly. Where the Georgian was subtle and creative, the Nigerian was direct and devastating. His pace terrorized Serie A defenses, his finishing was ruthless, and his celebrations ignited the San Paolo crowd week after week. May 4th, 2023, the official clinching moment. As the final whistle blew and mathematical certainty was achieved, Naples exploded in celebration, streets filled with blue smoke, fans wept with joy, and the San Paolo became a cathedral of triumph. The wait was over. Napoli's 3rd Scudetto would be swiftly followed by their 4th. Under new manager Antonio Conte, a new team of stars emerged, spearheaded by Romelu Lukaku and Scott McTominay. The club saw Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia depart, but just as they did in Serie C1, in Serie B, when they had barely a squad or money, Napoli adapted. They utilized the collective to once again be crowned as Italy's #1 team. May 23, 2025. Napoli faced Cagliari in what would become the title-winning match. The San Paolo, now officially the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, was electric with anticipation. So what is the story of Napoli? Is it the relegations, the promotions, the saviors? Is it the fall from grace and return to greatness? The Napoli of today is very different to the one that Diego Maradona represented in the 1980s. Serie A is no longer considered the #1 league in the world. In an ever-changing landscape, Italian football has had to adapt, change, improve, and perhaps in the story of SSC Napoli, they have the perfect example on not just how to survive, but ultimately thrive.